Hi, everybody. And I think there goes the recording signal. So we are officially live. Yay! Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so excited that you're here to join us. Please, there's a chat box to your right. Please enter your name, say hello. Hi, Irma. Say where you guys are logging in from, what the weather is like where you are. And I think we'll start just by introducing ourselves for those of you who, hi, Mo, who
Hi,
don't
Mo.
who don't know who we are. I can start. So my name is Michelle Garside. I am the co-founder of Soul Camp Creative, and now TAP, the action plan. And I'm so excited for this workshop. I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys. And my intention is really for the next hour ahead to get really honest around, New Year's and New Year's resolutions and why so many of us have tried so many times to make change in our life without following through. That has been the story of my life for so many years. And really just so we all feel like we're not alone, and talk about how we can do things a little bit differently. So that is my intention, and I'm so happy to be here with everyone.
Yes. Michelle. Hi guys, I'm Allie. I am the other Soul Camp co-founder, and also of TAP. And tonight, my intention is to just be here with you guys. I think just oftentimes it can feel like, oh, we're on a webinar, like we're talking to you. Like I want to be really in this with you because we're on this journey alongside you in our own lives, just trying to, like we want the best for our lives. I want the best for my life. And I want to this year as well, like make those goals happen. So from that place, share with you my experience and what I know to be true.
And my name is Carissa Reiniger. I apologize for my voice. I am calling in. I live in New York City, but I'm calling in from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, which is like the Arctic. And it is particularly cold up here. This is where I'm from. And so I got sick as soon as I landed here before the holidays. And it's lingering in my voice. So I apologize for how I sound, but I'm very happy to be here. And my intention for this time is I think that I own a company called Silver Lining, and Silver Lining is the partner organization with Soul Camp that's brought you all TAP. And I started that company almost 13 years ago. And so I've spent the last 13 years learning about and studying and thinking about behavior change, but as it relates to small business owners and how we can create structure and support to help business owners hit the goals that they really want and to live their dreams in a sustainable way. And it's always been true that I've practiced so much of what I've learned and applied to my business in my own personal life. And I've had great moments of success and great moments of failure. And, I've been through every gamut that every human being has ever been through. But I'm so fascinated by and so passionate about, how all of us get to live the life that we really dream of. And I don't want any of us to settle for anything less than that. And so to be in a conversation, an honest conversation about, this time of the year when we put all this pressure on ourselves and we have all this new hope and all these new dreams, but to actually live those out is so hard to do. I'm excited to be in a conversation about just the truth of that and to share what I've learned about what it can be and what's possible, and to share my truth about all the times I've also, failed and sometimes succeeded. So we're all humans in it together.
Totally. Yeah. Guys, it's part of the magic of all of us coming together. And just for those of you that don't know what Soul Camp is, we are an adult sleepaway camp company. And really what we do is help people through the experiences that we throw, remember that anything is possible and to dream bigger and laugh louder. And why this partnership is so potent, I think, is the combination, and this is a value that we hold as a company, of pray and move your feet, right? So there are some of you that are going to be so used to getting into action, and you are a spreadsheet Excel kind of person. And you're like, I'm going to do this, and then this year. I'm going to accomplish this. And then there's Carissa. And then there's some this is definitely me, that focus on the meditation and creating the vision boards and getting into the clarity around why I want to accomplish something. But the truth of the matter is, if we focus on one without the other, we actually aren't really getting the most out of what we can. And if we're praying and not moving our feet, nothing's going to happen. If we're moving our feet but not praying, yeah, we're going to get stuff done, but it might not actually be what we want, right? So I'm curious to you guys that are joining us. It's so exciting to see all of you. I want you to think about what it is that you're wanting this year, right? Maybe for you, if you're one of those move your feet kind of people, what is it that you really would love to see New Year's 2018? Like, what did you accomplish this year? Like, what would make your heart sing? What would make your cells come alive? What would make your year be the best year ever? And then for those of you that are the ones that focus on the praying and the meditating, I want you to think about, what would it feel like to actually do the things that you want to do? What does that feel like? So if you guys want to chat anything that comes to mind in the chat box, we want to engage with you. So let us know and share. It's helpful for other participants too if you're sharing what you're wanting.
Yeah, and also please share, just your intention for this workshop as well. We want it to be a really interactive, collaborative, hour ahead. So definitely tell us what you're looking to know and gain and walk away with after this time with us, because we want to be sure that we're answering all of your questions and meeting all of your goals for this next hour. So I want to just begin by talking a little bit about New Year's resolutions in general. And like Carissa and Ali said before, there's so much pressure with this new year, new you kind of messaging around possibility, right? So often, and I'll use myself as an example in the past, every New Year's would come along and I would make these really big statements for the person that I would want to be. So I want to be someone who wakes up every morning and, meditates and writes in my journal and then goes to the gym, and I want to eat healthy and I want to be making my own food, and I want to be someone who is so positive and sees the lightness in everyone, and really someone that like people look at and so many lofty goals, right? It's like, I want to be this whole other person, basically. And that's been for so many years how I've just like made my declaration each new year. This is going to be the year that I no longer, emotionally overeat. This is going to be the year that I go to the gym every single day. I'm going to be one of those people who loves going to the gym, right? Like these big goals of the person that I want to be. And maybe for the first week or so, maybe for the first month or so even, I white knuckle it and I'm doing it. And I even see like in the classes that I'm in right now, they're packed. The gym is packed right now with people who have made their declaration. I'm going to be a gym person. So we make these big lofty goals, and then we go and we go and we go. And then we get busy again. And then there's a huge snowfall. And then, things in our life come up that prevent us from doing all of the different things that we were doing to become the person that we want to be. And so often we stop. We get tired, or we get fed up, or we get upset, or a lot of us, myself included, are very all or nothing people. So either I'm going to go to the gym every single day, and if I didn't go to the gym, well, you know what? I might as well have the cookie. Or, you know what? I didn't go to the gym. I might as well watch Bravo instead of doing my meditation practice. It's like either I'm doing it all or I'm doing nothing at all. And a lot of us get into this cycle of making these huge, lofty declarations and then not following through. And 9 times out of 10, it's because, and Carissa, you will correct me on the statistics, 9 times out of 10, I just threw out there. But very often, it's because we don't create a whole support structure around ourselves to hold us accountable to that declaration. So, in the past, and I'll use fitness as an example, and for all of you Soul Camp community on here, you might have been watching my fitness goals over this last year really take hold. But for years and years and years, I would want to be someone who have a fitness program and loves going, and it isn't just going, for weight loss, but is going for mind, body, spirit, and for the whole health of my body. And as soon as I got tired, or as soon as the weather got colder, I would stop going. This is the very first year, this past year, that I made the change and I got myself on a program, and I had many, many, many people holding me accountable to hitting my goals in that program. And so I personally was able to see the shift of like, when I have a whole support structure around myself that knows what my goals are, that is asking me about my goals, that I'm turning over what I'm doing, what I'm not doing to them. I have a whole community that's supporting me in hitting this goal. How different that goal can come to life as opposed to the 30 years in the past where it didn't. So yeah, wanting to just start a conversation. I know Allie and Carissa will jump in about New Year's resolutions and why they so often don't work. And please, those of you tuning in, share your examples. We, as Allie said before, we all relate to each other, when you're sharing in the chat box. So definitely share in the chat box to the right. But yeah, Allie or Carissa, do you want to say anything further to that?
I think you want to go next, but just guys, type a 1 if you've ever had a New Year's resolution and it hasn't come true.
Everyone starts typing 1 really, really fast. I know. So I just want to say that I saw this question about how do I focus and monitor my aspirations? Well, we're going to talk a lot about that. So stay tuned, coming very soon, like in 3 minutes. But before we get there, I just want to say I see so many of our Silver Lining folks on here and Soul Camp people. And what I think is so interesting is that the magic of this partnership, like we've talked about, is this idea around pray and move your feet, right? If you are not in touch with what you're really called to be in the world, and you could be called to be a great business owner, you could be called to be a great yoga teacher. There's no right or wrong calling in the world, but the point is that you have to know what that is, own it, and actually take responsibility for being it. And that's where the move your feet comes in. I see so many people, business owners and not, in all the years of doing the work that I've done, who have hopes and dreams and wishes and big ideas, but there's not the follow through. And so I can certainly speak from the other side of the equation where, I'm an action girl. I have goals, I have objectives, I take action, I have spreadsheets. I like to see things get done. And I'm aggressive about it. And, to the chagrin of my body, clearly I've burnt myself out this fall. And you're hearing it right now. But it's taken me a lot of work. I went to Soul Camp 1 year as a camper because I needed to get the kind of the feeding into me around who I wanted to be and what it meant to be well and whole. And so, I just think that it's such an important moment in, I think that New Year's resolutions are largely ridiculous. And I think that this moment of the year where we're so naturally tuned into thinking about what we want and then thinking about, who we're meant to be and what we're meant to do and kind of thinking of it almost like a fresh slate, it's a really beautiful opportunity. And so, this year I've actually come up with the realization that I need the anti-resolution. I don't need to do anything new. I don't need new goals and new dreams. I just need to be amazing at the things I've already committed to. I want to be a better girlfriend to my partner. I want to be a better sister to my brothers. I want to be a better aunt to my nieces. I want to be a better, employer to my team. I want to be a better partner and friend to our slapsters, our small business owners, and to any of you guys that we get to work with. And that really, my job is not to blow something up, but just to be excellent at what I have and really appreciate and be in a whole year of gratitude and rest and restoration. And so, it's just, I want to kind of say from my own point of view, that I think sometimes we put this pressure on ourselves that if the goal that we're thinking about isn't big and revolutionary and going to change everything, that it's not big enough. And I've certainly learned as someone who's falsely set and sometimes successfully set massively huge, ridiculous goals, that sometimes it's a beautiful moment to just, actually let what you have be enjoyed. That can be a great goal, to just enjoy the life you've created. But that each of us just letting it be true that what we need and who we are can be okay, I think is a really important part of this conversation. Because I just feel like New Year's resolutions comes with a lot of pressure. And we see it with our business owners that we've worked with for all these years. There's so much pressure, these ideas of what a business should look like, of what success should look like. And so I would invite you, as we go through this conversation together, to disregard any idea about what anyone else thinks is successful, or what you've read about in a magazine, or what you think someone else is doing that you should be doing. Because really what this process is about is getting true to yourself, and then owning what you are called to do, and how you're meant to deliver it, and not letting yourself off the hook. Because I do believe we're all called to do something in this world, and it doesn't matter what it is, but it does matter that we do it. And so that's just something that I'm reflecting on a lot right now is, how do I stay grounded in what I'm called to be? And then how do I stay diligent and focused and soft enough to actually just do it and not get distracted by other people's ideas of success, or what I should be doing, or what I get pressured to think I should do. So I would just add that into the conversation.
I love that.
100%. What I'm hearing you saying is also trusting yourself, right? Like there's so many things that like we might hear in advertisements or from our families about what we should be, and getting back to the basics of like, what is it that you want? And I love that, of just enjoying the fruits of your labor. Some of you might be at that point that you have been, working and like, okay, now I want to enjoy all of it. That's so beautiful. And I'll just share for me, this past year, a goal of mine was to actually really, really walk my talk. As the founder of Soul Camp, and a past body confidence coach, I was always talking about, feeling confident in myself and having a beautiful self-care practice. And the truth of the matter was that that wasn't in complete alignment. And for me, like I even looked back at my journal, I was writing like all of these lists. Like I'd be like, okay, this is what my self-care routine would look like. And I'm like, I'm going to meditate in the morning. I'm going to drink 7 glasses of water. And I would kind of create this action plan almost, but like, I would do it for 2 days, and then the next day it would be, I'll do 4 of those 5 things. And then the next day I did 3. And then I started feeling horrible about myself because again, I wasn't doing it. And for me, it got me to a point of just like that discord between what I want and how I was acting and showing up got so, it felt so bad and like almost like hopeless. Like I'm never going to be able to do the things I want to do. Like this sucks. I had to get to a point of that place, and I got the help that I needed. I got a mentor. I got a support system. I got, and this is why like we're so passionate about TAP, because this is what it provides. You need those things to be able to actually do the things that you want. So, I've learned a lot in this past year in that respect. And I think, for me moving forward, it's like really thinking about, and I love the question that we got of how do I focus and monitor my aspirations? It's like, some of us might be those big dreamers. We're like, okay, this year I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And like that for you actually might be accurate, but like, maybe you're just like, I actually want to feel good in my body. And like, I think it's just checking yourself and using this time and these types of conversations to get really real about what it is like you actually want, and what's the feeling that you want to, have once you accomplish those.
So good. It's so good. And that, again, it just keeps going back to pray and move your feet. So really setting the intentions and then really getting into action based on how you want to feel, based on what that ultimate end game intention is for you. And, if you guys have set goals in the past, and we saw a lot of ones come in, have set New Year's resolutions in the past and have not followed through, you are not alone. And there's a whole science behind it. And Carissa, do you want to take that?
I do. So I'll just say that I've been in bed for the last 10 days, but I got myself to the point where I'll just show you guys as we go into this next part. I'm wearing my Soul Camp t-shirt that says Rise and Shine. And then I'm wearing a black blazer over top to represent this idea of like, joy and fun and prayer and meditation and connection and, letting that be the truth of who I am at my core. And then like putting on my big girl business jacket and taking some action and getting to work and being responsible for the life I want to have and not waiting for it, but creating it. And so anyways, I'll just use that as my segue into talking a bit about, what does it take to actually have big dreams, have big aspirations, and then actually accomplish them? Because one thing that I would never want anyone to do is dream small. I'm such a big believer that absolutely anything is possible. I know it. I know for sure that that's true. So if anything is possible, then our job is to get in touch with what it is we really want and what we're really called to do, and let it be whatever it is, big, small, comfy, cozy, whatever it is, whatever you're called to do, whatever you want, it's possible. So I know that, and I want to just kind of start with that framework. It's possible. I know for sure. I won't get into all the details, but I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta with crazy anxiety issues. I was homeschooled till I was 15 because I could barely leave my house, not move away, not be away from my parents overnight. I never had a sleepover. The first time I ever had a sleepover was at Soul Camp, actually. Yeah, I come from this massive, massive family of, tons and tons. I have 120 aunts and uncles and cousins that are all, located around here, and the idea that I would go from that to having the life that I have, living in New York, traveling around the world, building a business I care about, having amazing friends and partners like Allie and Michelle, getting to work with all people like you, it doesn't make sense. It's something bigger than me happened to create that. And so I know that if I have what I have and I've been able to be where I am, anything is possible, and any of you can go anywhere you want. So how do we get there? That's what I'm passionate about. And I'm probably so passionate about this because I had such a long journey to get from where I was to where I am. And it was a hard journey where I had to battle a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear and a lot of, guilt and shame for wanting something that was different than what I came from. So I really know so intimately, what it feels like to wonder if what you want is too big, or to wonder if what you want is even reasonable. And then to slog through all of that and try to get there, despite ourselves. So let me share my screen and let me show you Michelle, Allie, and Mai's little baby. So we have birthed, Silver Lining and Soul Camp have birthed a little baby called Tap. And TAP is really based in, as we always say, it's inspired by Soul Camp. It's inspired by the energy and the mission and the people and the beauty of Soul Camp. And this idea that, as adults, we can play and be well and be whole and be connected. So it's inspired by all that Soul Camp is. And then it's powered by Silver Lining. And what that means is that it's really powered by the systems and the processes and the structure and the technology and the years and years and years of study that we've been doing around behavior change and creating structure that actually creates growth. And so based on our collective experience and wisdom, this is what we've learned, and this is what we want to offer you, kind of to directly answer that question of, well, how do I measure my aspirations? How do I move forward? So, why do people fail at hitting their goals? That's where we've got to start, right? If this is true about all of us, every single one of us have failed at hitting our goals. There's not a human out there that hasn't at some point. Why is that? So we call this the cycle of stuck. I feel like there's so many people in the world who feel like, and I've been there, right? If I'm happy, I'll be able to create change, right? Once I'm happy, change will happen. And so I just need to get happy, and then change is going to happen. And then we can maneuver around and say, well, I need to change to be more happy. If I was happier, then in that I need to change this and my job and my husband or my wife or my this or my that. All these things aren't, working. And so I'm not happy. And so I need to change everything to be happy. And we just rotate around and around and around this cycle of stuck where we, I think sometimes don't take that ownership of saying, okay, I'm going to create the change I want. I'm going to be happy regardless of all these things that are happening around me. And so it's so common for us to live in and kind of loop through this cycle of stuck at either all parts of our life or certain parts of our life in different stages. And so what happens when we get into this cycle of stuck, when we're spending so much of our mental and emotional energy thinking about this and worrying about it and cycling through it, is one of two things typically happen. You either end up in planning paralysis, which means that you are, constantly at workshops and at retreats and reevaluating your plan and building a new vision board and having your girlfriends together to set new intentions and joining a man's group or a this thing or a that thing. How it plays out for small businesses, they're just constantly re-strategizing. There's a new strategy. They're in a boardroom thinking all the time. Planning paralysis. Okay, nothing actually happens because we keep thinking we're going to magically come up with the perfect plan. The opposite version of that is action frenzy, where we just throw spaghetti at the wall, hope something's going to stick, and we just go for it. And we spend all of our time and our money in almost a kind of frantic approach to trying to change, to trying to get unstuck. And so we buy books, we buy programs, we travel around the world, we quit our jobs, we quit our relationships. We end up and we make all these crazy moves. Maybe some of them are the right ones, some of the wrong ones, but we're so busy that we don't actually have the time to step away and contemplate if these are the right things to do, or if we're actually getting unstuck or just running away from being stuck. And it's interesting, I've certainly experienced this. We can be in both planning paralysis in one area of our life and action frenzy in another. And that's really confusing and exhausting because we're spinning out over here, we're spinning out over here, but in totally different ways. And I think we exhaust ourselves. And what happens as this cycle of stuck continues and goes on and goes on and goes on is that we get tired, we get burnt out, we run out of money, we are unhappy, and we start to believe, this is the most dangerous part, we actually get into a mindset where we start to believe that it's not possible to make a change happen. And we actually buy into this like very false belief system that change is impossible, that I'm going to be stuck forever. And then we give up. And that's when it's heartbreaking. At least in planning paralysis and action frenzy, we're trying. But we get burnt out and we give up. And so this is why we fail. It's not that it's impossible to hit your goals. It's not that it's impossible to change. But this cycle of stuck is so prevalent in every single one of us, myself included. And the planning paralysis and the action frenzy is so common. We all do it, myself very much included. That if we don't figure out how to manage this cycle of stuck and get ourselves out of it faster, then we risk not creating the life we want. But if we can learn how to understand and just embrace that these are the natural cycles we're going to go through, these are the belief systems we're going to come to the table with, these are the philosophies that are, flawed but true in our head, right? But we can get better at getting out of stuck faster, and we can normalize stuck and just be okay with it and then address it, then we can create change. So how do we do that, right? That's, of course, the next question. Fine, that sounds great, but how do you actually do that? So what I've learned is that, we don't need oftentimes more training. We don't need more influence. We don't need more gurus, although all of those things are good to have. But really, it comes down to behavior change. When you think about some of the most amazing behavior change programs of our time, right? Weight Watchers, Fitbit, Alcoholics Anonymous, they're really wrapping this incredibly robust set of, language, training, resources, support, structure, accountability, all around you so that you can create change. And so what we've really realized is that this idea of like a flash in the pan, right? A 9-week boot camp, a 7-day challenge, a journal for 30 days to change your life, all of those things are beautiful and they play a role, but they're incomplete. We really need comprehensive behavior change around us if we want to develop habits that result in long-term growth. And the opposite of that, right, is that action frenzy where we're doing so many things, but we're not getting lasting change. And so we really believe that if you want to create change, you need a behavior change program. You have to change your behavior and develop new habits. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, again, this is like pray and move your feet. You need an action plan, not just inspiration. It's so good to be inspired, and thank God for the moments of inspiration that we all get. We never want to stop those. But if we're constantly inspired, that doesn't get us to the life we want. It gets us feeling pretty good maybe, but it's actually important to translate that inspiration and that vision into an action plan. And that's why it's called the action plan TAP. The other thing is that this is a skill. I think so many of us, in my context, start businesses because we're amazing at what we're amazing at, but we're not really good at building a business, right? Or we live our lives and we're amazing at what we're amazing at, but that doesn't mean you're amazing at understanding behavior change and creating new habits that will change your life, right? These are skills. Behavior change is a skill. And so you have to learn it. You have to learn how to do it. And so instead of just hoping and wishing and praying that something will change, you really just need training on how to create lasting change so that you can understand that it's science. It's not fluffy. It's not hopes and wishes and dreams. It's just possible. And then the last thing, and it kind of brings it together, we are all wonderful human beings, but all of us need support. I will never forget, there was a time, it was about 5 years ago, I was failing at every part of my life. I was in a shocking amount of debt with my business. My business was like generating next to no revenue because I was so beaten down and so stuck that I didn't want to do anything. So I was watching as my business wasn't really growing, and I was in debt. I was just ended a horrible relationship. I was like, I was not fit. I was not taking care of my health. I was quite frankly like the worst version of myself I think I'd ever been in that moment. And I finally broke down and I asked for help. And it's very hard for me to ask for help. And I finally broke down and I called someone, I asked for help, and he was so gracious. He's one of our business advisors. And he said, fly to LA, we'll spend a day together. And his name is Dr. Henry Cloud, and he's an amazing, amazing, amazing psychologist and leadership expert. And we spent a day together, and about halfway through the day, I'll never forget this. He looked at me and he said, Carissa, you just need to borrow some strength right now. Like, you're not this cosmic failure because you can't figure it out. It's not like you're never going to figure it out, but right now you are at a place where you just need to borrow some strength. So borrow my strength, like stop resisting it and borrow my strength. And I will never, it stuck out so much, like, oh my gosh, I need to borrow someone else's strength right now. I don't have enough. I don't have enough to make this change on my own. I just need to borrow someone else's. And it doesn't mean I'm a failure. And it doesn't mean I'm a loser. And it doesn't mean I'm not going to be successful. It just means that in this moment, in this instance, for this scenario, I need to borrow some strength. And I've got this person who wants to offer me theirs. How amazing is that? What a gift. And so I say all that to say, we need support structure. We need, not just more workshops or seminars or books to read or, lists to make, but we need support. We need structure. We're humans. We're built to be in community and in relationship, and we're meant to do it together. And so I would offer it to you. We all need to borrow each other's strength. There's not any of us that are so perfectly aligned and perfectly integrated that we can't benefit from borrowing other people's strength. And so I really have bought into this. I'm now the person that has like 7 therapists and 4 business advisors and so many coaches and all these friends because I know it changed my life. It changed my life. So how do we
before we I just wanted to jump in and just say, Allie and I, who run Soul Camp, we thought just so often that people were coming to Soul Camp and having these amazing, amazing experiences. And those of you on the webinar who've been to Soul Camp, you come and you are so inspired and you step into a whole new realm of possibility for yourself, and you really start to become that other version. You're eating a different way, you're moving your body a different way, you're relating to people a different way, you're relating to yourself a different way. But over and over and over again, people would tell us as they came back year after year, they're coming back to camp because they need to fill back up, that they're empty. And we just really recognized, we really want people to be coming to camp filled. There needs to be something in the in-between from camp to camp, that not only do people come back filled, but they come back the next version of themselves and the next version of themselves, and just keep getting lighter and brighter and brighter. And that's what camp is. And not just this place to remember who they are, but to become even the next version and the next version. And so I just wanted to note that, just as someone who runs these inspirational big events, that they're so wonderful and they're so life-changing, and there needs to be something in the in-between.
I love that. I love that. And behavior change, that's such a great segue to the science of all this, right? So behavior change backs up what Michelle just said 110%. So the first thing that I just want to show you guys, and this is a little bit of a challenge to each and every one of you here. So I mean it as a challenge. It's what's happening. If you look at Prochaska's stages of change, Prochaska is one of like the grandfathers of behavior change science. And there's so many behavior change scientists out there, and all of them have slightly different opinions. But what they mostly agree with is this, which is that if there are stages of change, right? If you're in pre-contemplation, you don't even know there's a problem, right? Ignorance is bliss. You're fine. Contemplation is that you recognize a need for behavior change, and maybe you're contemplating the pros and cons of changing it, but you're not committed. Preparation is you're starting to experiment. You're going to soul camp. You're signing up for something else. You're reading a book. You're playing with this idea that change can be possible for you. Action is you are ready to make definitive changes. You're going for it, right? No longer is this a theory. This is something you want to do. Maintenance, you've got to maintain that new behavior over time. And we're going to talk about that a lot more in a second. And then relapse. Relapse is normal. It's a full or partial return to previous behaviors, often accompanied by negative feelings. It's expected. It's actually listed as one of the stages of change. And so The challenge I would offer you guys is, first of all, identify yourself and even put it in chat. It might be interesting for you guys to put yourself in, a little bit of vulnerability and name where you are on this. But I will tell you, there is nothing anyone can do for you unless you're ready to make definitive changes. And so one of the things that I think we do as humans is we let ourselves get into this trap of thinking that someone else is going to save us. If I just find the right therapist, if I just find the right partner, if I just find the right boss, if I just find the right fill in the blank, then I'll be the better version of myself. No, right? That's pre-contemplation. It doesn't work. If you want to change your life, if you want different outcomes, if you want to change your behavior, you have to get yourself to action mode, right? And when you're in action, when you're at the stage of change of action, you can do anything you want. We can wrap some structure and support around you, and you can have whatever you want. I really mean that. But unless you're there, that's your job. Our job is to give you the structure and support, but your job is to actually be ready for change and to normalize that you're going to have to make change and then go into maintenance and then probably relapse and then get back into maintenance and get back into action. And that a fully functioning human being who's really engaged in this process of living their life to the fullest is really living in action and maintenance relapse for their whole life. And it gets really good at it, gets really good at understanding it. And again, learning it from a theoretical point of view and a practical point of view. So I just challenge each of you, where are you? Because if you're not yet in action, maintenance, or relapse, I love you, but you're not ready for something like TAP. You have to accept the challenge of your responsibility for what it means to change your life. And no one else can do that for you. No one else. That's the first thing. And so when we go to these pillars of behavior change, what does it take to create change, right? This is based in science. The number one thing is you have to gain commitment. The reason programs like Fitbit or Weight Watchers or Alcoholics Anonymous or SLAP or TAP are effective is because the first step is you have to sign up. You've got to put some skin in the game. You've got to be vulnerable. You've got to put some money on the line often. You've got to show up to a meeting. You've got to show up. You've got to be committed. And so, behavior change for free usually doesn't work. I hate to say it, but you've got to be committed for real. And that can only come with you. First step, you. Second thing is you've got to set modest goals. And so this is interesting. The word modest comes from science. And the idea there is it's really what Michelle and Allie were talking about, right? When we set these crazy, lofty, ridiculous goals that are impossible, we're setting ourselves up for failure. And actually change happens one step at a time over the long term. And so you've got to set realistic goals. Rigorously track behavior. This is a big one. You'll see, and we can explain it to you, but in SLAP and in TAP, literally every single thing you say you're going to do is documented in our technology. And then you track your progress. And then we send you a report to say, hey, you have 17 things you said you were going to do and you've done 2. Where are you? You have to do the other 15 things or else this isn't going to work. And so when we say rigorously track behavior, it literally means rigorously track behavior. Having a to-do list that you forget to look at for 6 months is not what it takes. It's really about this idea of holding yourself accountable to the dreams and the wishes that you have and doing the work that it takes to live them. The next is building self-efficacy, right? Over time, as you learn the skill of behavior change and as you rigorously track your behavior and you start to see progress towards your goals, you build self-efficacy. You build the belief and the reality that you can do it. And that's powerful. Then obtain counseling and coaching, right? Like that advisor said to me, you got to borrow someone else's strength. You need outside perspective. And sometimes it's really good to pay for it, right? Our friends have biases. Our partners have biases. We put a lot of pressure on our immediate circle to be our coaches and our counselors. And that's not their best job for us. Their best job is supporter. But we need outside coaching and counseling. You look at every effective behavior change program in the world, they all have this. Turn to fellow participants for support. Science says that there is nothing more powerful than being in a community where you can name your failures and your successes, where you can have people who normalize the failures, the places where you fall down, and who celebrate and cheer for you and just love the wins that you get. And so we need that community. That's why Soul Camp is so powerful, right? Those days at Soul Camp where you can let it all out. The moments where our slapsters get together at Silver Lining and just talk for real, the truth about what it's like to be a business owner, right? The good and the bad, the highs, the lows, the things you can't really say to anyone else. We need that. That's part of the behavior change cycle. And then ultimately we have to instill new habits, right? You can't make behavior change a flash in the pan. Behavior change is that it's a new habit for life, right? It's lasting change.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and I just wanted to jump in and just say, when we created this program, we gave a lot of thought to who this is for, right? Like, who is this for? What are they going through? And, we came up with a line that said something to the effect of, like, for the person who wants to stop collecting books and start collecting wins. It's really for the person who has most likely tried a lot of different things before, have had the same kind of goal to get fit or to find a relationship or to really step into, a spiritual practice or to start their own business. They've had that goal for a little while and something keeps coming up to prevent them from achieving that goal. And they know that there needs to be another way of doing things in order to do that. So I just wanted to voice that. So.
Yeah, I think that's great. So just quickly, we're going to get to the end of kind of us kind of sharing with you what we've learned about what it means to collect wins, right? What does it take to collect wins? And then we'll open it up to Q&A. But if you guys have questions and you want to start asking, by all means, jump in. I'll stop talking very, very soon and we'll be ready to talk together. But here's what it takes. So what's the difference between a goal, a big dream, right, and an action plan? This is what the difference is, right? And so when you have a TAP or when you have a SLAP, you go through a process of really building a really solid one-year plan. And so the first thing is really about getting into your TAP mindset, right? You've got to shift from victim of circumstance and stuck to in charge and ready, right? Set your values, be clear about who you are, and make a commitment to be the impact that you're meant to be in the world, right? That's the mindset you have to start with. You've got to, and so the process helps you. What are your values? We take you through a process to do that. What's the impact you're meant to have in the world? We help you evaluate that, set that out and put it in intention and live this mindset. So it's about clarity of mindset and then living in that mindset. And the next step is your TAP statement. And this is really about crystallizing, who are you? What are you uniquely here to do? And then what scale do you want to be doing it on, right? Are you called to your local community? Are you called to your family? Is that where you're going to make an impact? Are you called to a cause or something else that, has ambition around it? What are you here to do? Who are you? What are you here to do? What's the scale you're going to do it on as a human? Any of you slapsters who are on the call know that you have a SLAP statement, which is the same thing. And I always talk about it. I have a SLAP statement for my business, right? The who, what, and scale of my business. And I have a TAP statement for my Carissa, for who I am as a human and the type of person I am and what I want to do and the scale I want to do it on as a human being. And my business isn't aligned with it because it's one of the outputs of me as a human. The third thing is envision your future, right? When we think about all of the areas of our life, our spirituality, our health, our style, our relationships, our work, our impact, all of these different areas of our life, at any given time, we've got to focus on a couple of areas. You can't have 10 goals and hit them all. You probably can only have 2 or 3 or 4 at the very, very most. And so we take you through a process of really looking at all these different areas of your life and really like letting yourself settle into your top priorities and then envisioning a future where those parts of your life are different and they're what you want and they're meatier and they're juicier. And so that's a really fun part. Then you set goals, and here's where the rubber hits the road, right? It might be true that a year from now you want to have lost 20 pounds, or you want to have negotiated 20% raise in your salary, or you want to have created an impact in your community or for social justice, or you want your personal style to be different, or you want to meditate daily, or whatever it is that you envision for your future self. But then there's like setting of goals, right? So then how are we going to measure your progress? So how many pounds do you want to lose? How many hours do you want to donate? How many dates do you want to take your spouse on? How are we going to actually tactically set goals around these big dreams we have for ourselves? Building that plan only takes a couple of hours. That's the good news. But then here's where it all comes. The rubber really hits the road. Then you actually have to do it, right? And this is where the New Year's resolutions fall apart. What I would say most people do when they set New Year's resolutions is they do envision your future only. That's what happens January 1st for all of us, right? We envision our future self and we get excited and we have these big dreams, but we don't do the pre-work, which is about what our values are, getting out of victim mode, choosing and taking responsibility for who we are, stating who we are and what we're meant to do and the scale we're meant to do it on. We haven't done that first work. And so if we don't do that, then our visioning our future is skewed. Once we've envisioned our future, if we don't set those goals and then for the next 364 days, actually implement the actions we have to do in order to hit those goals, we're not going to get it. And so the reason we are collecting books, not wins, the reason that New Year's resolutions don't work really boils down to this. We are really good. It's a really beautiful process to envision our future. It's hopeful. It's inspiring. How wonderful to think of ourselves as a better version of ourselves. But if we don't do the really hard pre-work, and then we don't do the gigantically hard post-work, then we're sit in this reality where we're dreaming of a future, but we're not creating it. And that's why this comprehensive, full picture is so important. It's the pre-work, it's the fun envisioning, and then it's the work around it. And that creates change. It really, really does. We know it does. So the last thing we'll just tell you guys is that if you were to have a tap, and there is no pressure to do so, we hope that whether you actually join us on the full journey or you're just here for this hour, we're helping you maybe think a little bit differently, jog how you might be, approaching your life and your vision. And we want you to live the life that you want, with or without us. But we want to offer that we're here to help you if you need it. And so what happens if you have a tap, and these pillars of the tap experience directly match and model the pillars of behavior change that we talked about before. Tap Center is an online tool where you build your plan and you rigorously track your behavior and you rigorously track your progress towards your modest goals. Your tap manager is an accountability partner, someone who literally watches your progress on a day-to-day basis and literally does accountability calls twice a month, emails you when you're off track, calls you to celebrate your success, is quite literally watching you. So I always say the tap managers help you succeed in spite of yourself. Tap School, weekly webinars with all of the amazing Soul Camp instructors who are gurus and like amazing teachers and instructors of wellness and growth and development. And on a weekly basis, you get access to their incredible teaching to help you learn the skills of behavior change and those skills of wellness. At Tap World, you get to connect with tapsters from around the world who are also on a mission to live their best life. And we run contests and promotions, and we do all sorts of things to try to motivate you to succeed, sometimes, again, in spite of yourself. We're not below bribing you with free things if you hit your goals, if that's what it takes. And then you get a Tap coach. You actually get a certified coach. We've been very, very picky about who we've brought on as the coaches. Every single one is fully certified, has done their hours, and these are incredible, experienced, certified coaches who you get to talk to either once a week or once a month, and either one-on-one or in a group based on the accountability structure you most need, to really be that support, to borrow, you can borrow their strategic strength, their coaching strength to help you process the cycles of stuck we get into, the things that you're working through, all of that. And so this comprehensive kind of package gives you everything science says that you need in terms of structure, training, resources, accountability, support, community, all of it rolled up in one kind of simple, organized, cohesive, comprehensive program. And so I know that we're getting close to the end, but I'll just say maybe Allie Michelle can read these 5 things, because these are just, I feel like, so powerful and so inspiring and so exciting. But we want you guys, all of you, we want everyone in the world really, but especially the people we're talking to right now, to be living this way, to know that this is true, not just in your head, but like in your soul. So.
Michelle, why don't we alternate, okay?
Perfect.
So guys, the mindset that and again, what Chris is saying, whether you join us on the TAP journey or not, like this, let these values inspire you in your life. So one, it's a privilege to be alive, right? Like we are so, so, so lucky. I actually woke up today feeling like that. Like, whoa, I get to create my life. What a privilege. What an amazing blessing that really is.
I love that. 2, it doesn't matter how much you shift and change. A well-lived life is creating positive impact in the world and making strides in your own personal growth. So at TAP and just personally, we so believe that, the bigger reason why of living your best life, the bigger reason why of waking up happy and excited for the day and life ahead of you, is to make positive impact and change in the community around you, in the world around you. That's why we're all here.
Number 3, be in charge of your life. So you are not a victim to your life. and life is not happening to you, it's happening for you, you can create the change that you want to see. So that's something that you need to really drill into your mind. You can create the life that you want to see. Carissa, Michelle, and I, and Carissa shared a little bit about her story, but all of us stand behind this fully because we had to get into this mindset to actually make changes in our life. We all have been through our own struggles in that way. So we want you guys to really get serious and get ready to do the work to be able to make those changes.
Number 4, when you get stuck, get unstuck. So the goal is not to be perfect and always be on. It's to recognize when you're stuck and what you need to do. And I love that part of this whole process is expecting relapse, right? Expecting that there's going to be that stuckness. That's part of behavior change. So often we are so fearful of going back a day or whatever it is. And the truth of the matter is that's all part of the process. So get comfortable with the uncomfortableness of that.
And last but not least, it's not easy to grow, but it doesn't need to be complicated. It actually can be super, super simple. And as long as you guys ensure that you have access to training, resources, accountability, and support to succeed, you will. And we got you if you guys want to accept that strength from us.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
And, we're so excited about TAP, and we're so excited about just everyone who's joined us so far and signed on. We still have a couple of spots left. If you guys are interested, we'll write our email address below. But we're still offering our VIP discount. It's VIP 100. That is the discount code that you'll use. It's $50 off any program of your choice. And we have a few spots left, I think under 10 spots left. So if you guys are wanting to do it, we'll write our email addresses below. Just shoot us an email and we will get you all set up and have a further conversation with you about it. So to those of you who have already signed up and are joining us, we're so excited for the road ahead. And for those of you who are interested, shoot us an email. And for those of you who this is not yet the time for this for you, please take this information that we've shared and use it in 2008 and beyond. And I think we have a few more minutes to open it up to Q&A and answer any questions that you guys might have about TAP, about behavior change, about resolutions in general. Anything that you want, we are here at your beck and call. So any questions that you might have, just write it into the chat box and we're here to answer.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we're super committed to you guys knowing and believing that you can create this year to be. So, based on what we shared today, of this new mindset that you need to have, but also the process of actually creating an action plan and making it happen. Do you have any questions around that science and the process that you can bring into your life? Let us know.
Let us know. And I think there might have been one question earlier, right? You might have answered it.
I'm just scrolling up.
How do I focus and monitor my aspirations?
Mm-hmm.
So, just going back to Margie's question, right, which was how do I focus and monitor my aspirations? I always, Silver Lining is the name of my company, and I always say to our small businesses, right, there's not a silver bullet, but there is a silver lining. And I think that when we talk about, I think what I hope you guys have all heard in all of this is that it takes work to create change, and it's possible. And so, when I think about Margie's question of how do I focus and monitor my aspirations, my honest answer, based on having done this for so long, is that it takes kind of everything that we just described, right? It takes the hard work of setting the right goals. It takes the structure and support of having systems in place to really monitor it closely. It takes the practical step of turning your aspirations into practical goals so you can measure your progress towards it. And so, it's really, I wish I could pretend that there was a kind of a simpler answer. But it kind of, what I've learned is that unless you're creating a comprehensive support structure around a comprehensive plan, where you're doing all the hard work on the pray and move your feet part, then we're not set up for success. And as we all know, the failure rates on so many goal setting programs are so so crazy high. You know, it's amazing how often we fail at the goals that we set, all of us. And so, you know, what I've learned is that, you know, it goes back to what I talked about earlier. Change is 100% possible, which is so exciting. And it requires, I really believe it requires, you know, this level of structure and support. So Margie, I hope that answered that question. It was probably more than you bargained for, but you got a really, really 30-minute long answer to that question.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about, there was a question that we got when we were talking to some people about TAP before this around like, well, what about the experts that say if you just like, and these are for the people that are focused on praying, the praying aspect of like, what if I can just make this vision board and it will happen? And like, you know, from our experience, there can be progress from that, right? Because that vision inspires action. But what it doesn't inspire, like what we're talking about, is every day waking up and doing the hard thing. Doing the hard things actually is what creates change. And again, it doesn't have to be so hard, but there's, if you don't have support and accountability and a system to actually make it happen, your fear is going to be leading the way, right? And that's why us as humans, this is just what we need.
So why don't we leave you guys with, we can all type our email addresses in. So I'll send my personal email address right now. If you guys have questions, you're welcome to email me. And I'm also just going to write, we have a support@tapnow.me email address. And that is where there's a whole army of TAP managers who are really honestly excellent and skilled at talking about, you know, who you are and what you need and if TAP can help you. Our commitment is always that if we talk to you and we actually don't think that we're the right thing for you, we will absolutely not let you sign up because why would we do that? That doesn't do you or us any good. So our mission is to always get everyone connected to the right resources at Silver Lining and at TAP. And so if you want to talk to someone and just flesh out what you're working on, what your goals are, what kind of structure you think you might need, I give you my promise that we will either sign you up for the right TAP program, or we'll refer you to something else that will serve you better based on where you are in the world and where you are in your life and what you really need. So if being in a conversation with someone to flesh out what you need in terms of borrowing other strength, having structure and support, getting the pillars of behavior change around you is helpful, the best thing to do is email support@tapnow.me. And just set up a time to talk to someone, and we will absolutely take care of you. Our mission is that you live the life you want. And if we can help you, it's our honor. And if we can guide you to someone else who can help you, it's still our honor. It would be our privilege to be a teeny tiny role in, you having what you need to live the life that you really dream of.
Yeah. And we really hope that 2018 is the year that you win, that you start collecting those wins, that you become proud and inspired of the person that you are. And that all comes back to both setting intentions and taking action. So hope that you have gained a lot from this webinar and this workshop. Again, any questions, anything at all, please email all of us directly. We would love to hear from you guys. And welcome to 2018.
Good luck.
Yay. Yay. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
guys. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great night.